Thanks, guys. Appreciate that. Yeah, that was a sick bet on the Bengals. It was. Good morning, or good evening, good Sunday evening, guys. Hopefully, you guys had a fantastic weekend. Niners, Bengals to the ship. We'll see. I'm watching the game right now. I didn't take any money line bets on this game, but we'll see. Um, do have a couple others, so we'll see. I know it's the fourth quarter. I'm not going to try to keep everybody super long, but I wanted to go over some setups that I am going to be watching going into this week. I'll keep the Sunday scan short and sweet. I know NFL playoff season, these are usually very sparsely attended, but I always appreciate you guys when you come in. I know it's during the game, so it's really up to you whether you want to come in and hang out. It's always recorded, so you guys can watch either way. All right, guys, so headed into this week, very interested in how SPY continues to act as we head into the week following FOMC. Obviously, a mass earnings slate this week, guys. I really think it's going to be dependent on this 440, 481 level. My thought process going into this week, guys, is we're coming off of this FOMC week. I really do think that if you look at 2018 and you observe how the market acted following leading up to the rate hikes, right? We had a, first original dip, and then we had the bigger corrective dip, right, where we saw true sell-off in the latter half of that year, right? And that was in that March timeframe, because identically in 2018, that's kind of when we raised rates. And I really think that we're going to see a similar setup play out here. So that being said, like I mentioned, the 444.81 level is the spot I'm going to be paying attention to, because I do think that if we're going to have a relief rally, then the month of February is the time to do so. We have been seeing a crazy amount of range on SPY and QQQ as of the past couple of weeks, and I really think that once we can break over this 444.81 level, that we can really see a bigger breakout to the upside. We may see an initial dip tomorrow. If we do, I will be looking at the 438 and 432 levels for a possible downside move and then a move back up, right? So 438, 440, an area to look for possible adding calls into tomorrow. We have been trading in this range all week of 420 and really the 426 level. That 420 dip got bought up so quickly. We did have some nice daily buying volume come in on Friday on SPY and QQQ. So that's my thought process. If we get over 444.81, I really do think that we can see that move to possibly 459, maybe 460. I don't think we're going to return anywhere near at the highs of that 480 mark, but I really think we could, over the month of February, see a move back to this 460, possibly even 465. However, this is going to be a grind to get through this area, and we may see a little bit of chop in the first week or so. Talking about QQQ, the thought process obviously is, about the same, right? 357 is really the level here on QQQ, a little bit of relative weakness compared to SPY. However, one thing to remember, guys, is that Apple is 12% of the QQQ, right? So it has a very heavy weighting in QQQ. And why is that important? Well, it's important because if Apple continues to stay strong, which it's shown it has the past, yesterday at least, right? I did take some lotto puts kind of over the weekend, but just because I thought we might see an original pullback down to 167 tomorrow, and possibly, I was thinking more of a move to 162, but, we'll see. That kind of I didn't really pay too close of attention into close. However, bigger thought process here is over 357, I think we can see 362, if not 373. I've mentioned this several times, but I really do think that 373 is that line in the sand, right? And when I say line in the sand, I'm talking about, okay, if the market is going to see a true reversal, right, then I think we're, really looking at possibly that 373 level having to come into play here, right? On the grand scheme of things, I really think that's going to be the important spot. So if we see a move to the downside, obviously, guys, we've seen such strong buying pressure in this 335 range. It's really been kind of a bear in terms of are we going to correct down from this point any further? I think the bigger issue is that if we do correct down further, it's probably a move down to 300, right, on QQQ. So pretty important to watch this major level, right? If we don't hold this level, we are going to see a move much lower, and I wouldn't be surprised in March to possibly see 300. That it would be a serious long-term buying area. I'm going to start scaling into some long-term investments here soon. I think there's a good time to deploy capital coming up in the next 1 to 2 months. Now, as far as individual names I am focused on, it was fantastic to see a relief rally in Affirm. We saw that relief rally come into play on Friday here. Really nice move. Lotto Friday calls went over 1,000%. The bigger move up that I'm thinking about here is going to be on this daily chart, and it's going to be over this 61 level, right? Now, really, the 6250 level is the spot for me, but if we can get over highs from the 26th, right, which was the 6166 level, then I really think we can see a nice move up, possibly up to that 73 level. If we were to see a move, maybe we see 71, right? But I think if we get over 6250, which is the body of this candle right here where we had some support, then I think we can see a bigger move up towards that 73, 72 area, right? So definitely going to be on watch for Affirm. If the growth and overall market is relatively strong, this looks like a really nice weekly candle that formed off the bottom here. I'm going to clear my levels for you guys right now. But the reason I love Affirm so much, obviously the first 2 points I chart on any stock, right, are going to be its all-time high and all-time low. For Affirm, that would be 176.65. And then on the downside, right, its all-time low would be 46.50. We touched 48.35 on the weekly candle, and then we got bought up very quickly. That is a really nice weekly candle there on Affirm, guys. This is a fantastic candle. Reason being, right, is we're seeing that big wick up off the bottom, and if you look at that weekly buying pressure coming in, right, that's a pretty good signal that we may see further upside continuation. And one thing to also remember here on Affirm is we have February 10th earnings, right? So earnings are now a week and a half away. I will be very surprised if this doesn't see a run up into earnings. There were so many different holiday specials, quote unquote, right, where like Target, Amazon, all these big name retailers had Affirm in their pocket list. And so you could, check out using Affirm. I don't know about you guys. I used Affirm last year a couple of times just to test out the service because I was interested in purchasing the stock itself. I really loved what I saw. It automatically withdrew. I actually purchased my mom a Peloton back right when COVID happened. I actually, the money came right on my bank account, seamless. I know that there's been numerous reports of defaults and things like that. I can't speak to those, but what I can speak to is the fact that I do think their earnings may be nice, and I do think they'll definitely see a run up, and we are in that range where it's, hey, we have 10 days till Affirm's earnings come out. Speaking of earnings, another individual name that I'm very interested in is going to be AMD. Now, AMD saw a big wick off of this 99.45 level on Friday. This level is so important because if we look at this weekly chart, or we can look at the daily, we look at this daily chart, guys, AMD bouncing off that 99.45 level is a huge deal because we had this all-time resistance up here in the 99.45 range. Bouncing off this level would be a serious bullish indicator, and going into their earnings on Tuesday, remember their last earnings was very good, right? We really saw a lot of growth. Everyone really loved what they saw out of AMD earnings last time. I don't think that that's going to get any worse this upcoming earnings. It's just going to depend on market sentiment, but Apple having a good earnings report is pretty, healthy, not because they're in the chip sector, but TSM had good earnings. I definitely think AMD will provide a solid earnings report here, and I'm expecting this to ignite the chip sector as a whole, right? It seems logical that bouncing off this 99.45 level would be a nice spot for a bigger move back up, possibly to 112, 120. Again, if we broke that 99.45 level to the downside, guys, that would be very unhealthy because that was such a major resistance. We talk about that all the time. But when we have a long-term resistance like that and then we finally break it after years of trying to, and then you just give it back, that would be a very unhealthy sign, right? Because it would mean that we're turning old support that's been support now for a while, and we're turning that back into resistance, which was resistance for a very long time. So need to be smart, and I really do like the earnings possibility for a move. I'm probably going to take some lotto calls for earnings on AMD in the money, but we'll see how the overall market is, right? So that's kind of it as far as the individual names I'm going to look at. I don't want to keep this too overextended in terms of time. I really think that, for this week, it's really important just to focus on those indices and then those, couple individual names which are having that higher relative volume, right? And are going to provide the best opportunity for bigger moves to those upsides. So, up or down, we don't really care, right? It's all about range, and this market is providing us range. Right now, it's just in the indices, and that's okay, right? It doesn't matter that we're seeing range in only a few names. It matters that that range is really getting taken advantage of, and we're waiting for those A-plus opportunities. Don't forget, episode number 6 of the Small Account Challenge video series will be out this upcoming Wednesday. And there's a little bit of a delay because we had another video that's coming out tomorrow. So a lot of content coming up today, guys. I did a really cool podcast with PGIR over the weekend, which is all about learning how to short. That's out right now. You guys can go view it. It's really an awesome podcast, and I think you guys will gain a lot from it. And I would definitely recommend checking that out. So I'm going to get some sleep. I will see you guys bright and early on the pre-market live. Super quick Sunday scan this evening going over the written version. A crazy week of earnings ahead of us. Remember, Amazon, AMD, the names are endless. It's going to be a really awesome, volatile week, and I can't wait to take advantage of it with you guys. See you bright and early on the pre-market live. Peace, guys.